When are you going to bring prices down? We have $37 trillion in debt, and we have a deficit with Mexico, and we have a deficit with Canada. All right. So when are prices coming down then? Fox News just gives up. Bret Baier's like, well, I tried. I asked the question. That's the best I can do. Heaven forbid we ever get a straight answer. All right, here's just a 7-minute clip from Trump's interview. This is what they showed on Fox News. Ironically, the week that Trump is suing CBS for editing an interview, Fox News shows a 7.5-minute interview that's clearly edited down, and we're not hearing anything about that. But I wanted to fact check some of this stuff.
Welcome to Mar-a-Lago, the winter White House in Palm Beach, Florida. We're pleased to
That's important to remember. He's at Mar-a-Lago, his house.
Be joined by the 45th.
They call it the Winter White House because Trump is there, but it's his house. It's not the Winter White House. It's Trump's house.
And 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Happy Super Bowl.
Thank you.
You know, you are going to be the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl. It's a big day for America, always is. What made you want to do it?
Well, first of all, I'm very surprised to hear that. I would have assumed many presidents came, but I think...
Yeah, instead they were being presidents. You know, not everybody views their role as king, that they need to show up at all the events.
Just the spirit of the country. The country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to have the president be at the game.
I mean, it's an iconic day.
It's an iconic...
Hey, Tex, I need you to stop arguing. Everybody, then, not just Tex, everybody. We're going to stop arguing COVID in the chat now. Let's listen to this. But by the way, Dr. Malone is known as a kook by everybody else who helped develop mRNA. And he was broke, and then he started doing like anti-vax shit and made a bunch of money. He's an obvious grifter, He invalidates like his own science all the time. He's an obvious grifter. But again, confirmation bias. You guys want to believe what you want to believe. And so you put stock in a guy like Dr. Malone, who's one of the few scientists who actually makes money off of his podcasting. That's where he makes most of his money. So he found an audience. They're dumb. They believe anything. And he's like, this is nice. Now he has like this really nice horse farm. It's going great.
Day. It's going to be a great game, two great teams. And let's see what happens.
You know, it seems the first days of this administration are like a no-huddle offense. You know, plays going down the field, one after another. There's a long list of things you've already got done in 3 weeks. Big border policy changes, ICE crackdowns on criminals, taking biological men out of women and girls' sports, big energy policy changes.
Girls' sports.
So what's different with you and your administration? The difference between the 45th president and the 47th president?
Well, with the 45th, I had tremendous opposition, but I didn't know people, and I didn't have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office, some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have.
That's so. What he's saying is, I had people who were not loyal to me. Like, I had all these fucking pesky people who were like, "Wait a minute, that's against the law. Wait a minute, that's unconstitutional." And you know that was difficult. And I learned my lesson on that. I need people loyal to me who will just do and say whatever I want them to do and say.
If known better, if it were a couple of years later, or if I had a little more experience in D.C. I was a New York person, not a D.C. person, and I had a lot of opposition. I just noticed, I looked on the stage for the recent inauguration, and I'm looking, it's like a who's who of Washington. Well, if you look on the stage for the first one, it was just the opposite.
So some of your...
On the stage for his inauguration, it was a bunch of tech billionaires and his family. And then on the other side, you had like Joe Biden and their people. What is he talking about? The who's who in Washington? Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg? That's the who's who of Washington?
Plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks. 19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, Doge, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud.
It's crazy, right? Like this is where I really think that I don't get it. I don't get how you guys don't see that this is fascism. I really don't. The judges are standing. The judges are saying that you don't have the power to do this, and he's calling them crazy and corrupt. He attacks the judges. He always, anybody who ever goes against him, they're crazy and they're corrupt. This is obvious. This is obvious. Of course, the president can't take funds that are appropriated by Congress and do whatever the fuck he wants with them. Of course not. This is obvious, and that's what the courts are saying. You can't just do whatever you want, Donald. There's 2 other branches of government. And he's like, that's insane. Devin, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Oops.
Fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there.
And you found significant things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous. And you've read the same lists, and there are many.
He was president for 4 years. How come he never did anything? How come he didn't know any of this before? How come he didn't notice this stuff before? Just out of curiosity, he just sucked at his job the first time. Now he still doesn't know. He has to hire somebody from the outside. How come nobody in Congress knew about this stuff? How come Elon Musk's the only person who can figure this out? And he's figuring it out by just reproducing other people's work.
That you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say...
In all fairness, he did run on this, but what he said is that Elon Musk was going to be advising them. He did not run on. Elon and his group of his gang of titty milk boys are going to raid offices, set up private servers, see and host the information on their own, deny other government employees access to the same buildings, unilaterally shut off funding. He didn't campaign on this. He's lying. He did not campaign on this. You guys are just going along with it because that's kind of what you do. He said that Elon was going to advise. That's not what Elon's doing. Elon is being a government employee, and Elon is breaking the law repeatedly.
Trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it.
$7 million a week. He's not gaining anything? $7 million a week? He's not gaining anything? All right.
But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I campaigned on this, Bret.
You announced tariffs.
How was that edit? You can tell me this is smooth?
I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I campaigned on this, Bret.
What got edited out there, I wonder? We'll have to see the full one.
You announced tariffs on Canada and Mexico. You immediately got action from both of them on border security and drug interdiction.
I did. A lot of action.
Is that good enough? Is that good enough?
No, it's not good enough.
So more needed in 30 days.
Something has to happen. It's not sustainable. And I'm changing it.
You know, the Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was at a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. And
So that's not true. Let me show you the trade deficit with Canada because Donald Trump's a fucking moron. He lies about everything. This is the trade deficit with Canada. 63, this is in billions. 63 billion. That's the trade deficit. It's not 200 billion. Why he has to lie about everything's crazy. And also, trade deficits are fine. There's nothing wrong with the trade deficit. Nobody's ever been able to explain to me why a trade deficit is bad.
I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially, in
We're not.
subsidy to Canada? Now,
and it's not a subsidy. It's importing goods that are cheaper for us to get from them than from here.
They're a 51st state. I don't mind doing it.
You said the tariff is a beautiful word. There are some signs in the markets, consumer confidence, that they're a little jittery. So if all goes to plan, when do you think families will be able to feel prices going down, groceries, energy, or are you kind of saying to them, hang on. Inflation may get worse until it gets better.
No, I think we're going to become a rich. Look, we're not that rich right now. We owe $36 trillion.
The question was, when are prices coming down? And he said, we're not that rich.
That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. Same thing, like 200 billion with Canada. We owe 300. We have a deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
Didn't answer the question, and now we've edited it out completely. These edits, like, you know, he's just fucking rambling because these edits are hard. Like, this is a hard edit.
We have a deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
Sports is always.
I mean, those cuts are brutal. But he didn't answer that question. If we played a game and we sat here all day and watched Donald Trump answer questions, he never answers. We're going to be scumbags publicly. Yay!
Always been something that Americans rally around to come together. They really do. You won the popular.
I'm sure Republicans were in charge of the purse strings. Thank you, Rory. Appreciate that. Cookie Nibs, thank you. Said, what do you call a small, insignificant, mediocre, unloved, scared of their own shadow child? Drew or Tex is acceptable. Fuck them Yahtzees. I'm going to defend Drew and say he's not a Nazi. I'll say that. I don't know. I think Drew is like, he's one of those people that's grappling with his racism. He doesn't quite want to admit it, but he knows that there's some there, but it's not overt like Texas. Like, he doesn't want to live in an ethno state.
Vote. You won all the swing states. Have you thought about how to try to bring the country together, to reach out or to find common ground? Have you thought about that or how that might go?
I'd love to do it, but I would say this.
Have you thought about it? I'd love to do it. And then I looked away. That sounded like a hard edit. Let's see.
To find common ground. Have you thought about that or how that might go?
I'd love to do it, but I would say this.
No, it wasn't.
We have to come together, but to come together, there's only one thing that's going to do it, and that's massive success. Success will bring the country together, but it's hard. And
you know what? Another thing that would bring the country together is you guys just doing something that helped the country. That would be good. Like if the country, like if we got Greenland, if we got Canada, and we got the Panama Canal, and there were no obstacles to our billionaires, the country would get richer, and we would all still suffer, and it wouldn't help us one goddamn bit. He doesn't know because he doesn't care, right? This is a coup. This is the Christian nationalists and the billionaires getting what they want, and Trump is the spokesperson. And he goes out every day and tells dumb, uneducated Republicans that this is all for them. He's doing it for them. Meanwhile, he has never made more money in his life. This is the most money he's ever made in his life. He's raking it in hand over foot by scamming people, and now he's talking about like using our military for him to do real estate deals.
I say it's hard. I just signed a bill allowing for women not to have to be punished by men in sports. In other words, men are not going to be allowed to play in sports against women. It's ridiculous.
You're a sports guy.
So he didn't answer that question either. How are we going to come together? We got to be successful. And then, oh, wait, here's some transphobia for you. And the way that Republicans consume this is they're not ever listening to the question. They're just listening to Donald Trump to hear things that they like. So Donald Trump, when he doesn't answer questions and Republicans don't hold him accountable, it's because they're only just hearing, like they're listening to agree. This is all confirmation bias. Oh, we need to be successful. That'll make all these liberals shut the fuck up. No, it won't, by the way. If we all had more money, we wouldn't necessarily shut up about you guys being racist. Okay? We wouldn't shut up about not having health care just because people had some more money. Because we don't think like that. Yeah, it's ironic that the group of Christians who are obsessed with money and obsessed with success and obsessed with strength and obsessed with war and obsessed with controlling other people. Ironically, it's the Christians who act the least Christian in this country.
You're a football.
By the way, Tex, devout Christian, one of the most hateful people that I deal with on a regular basis, devout Christian. There is no love like Christian hate, or no hate like Christian love. That's what it is.
Football fan, size up these two teams.
I'm a big fan of both teams. They're sort of different.
Yeah, the big difference is one of them, when they won the Super Bowl last time, said, fuck you, we're not coming to the White House. And the other one showed up and kissed your ass. It's the main difference.
Philadelphia have one of the greatest running backs, Saquon. You know, Saquon had an uncle who was a great fighter, and Iran Barkley, his name was. So you have a great running back. You really have a great quarterback. The other team, the quarterback really knows how to win. He's a great, great quarterback. So
He, of course, played for Tommy Tuberville.
A game prediction?
I hate to do it. I just say.
Okay, now listen to why he makes this prediction, and this is a good look into Trump's ego. If you wanted to like make game picks, you might say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Kansas City's been there. Andy Reid is a great coach. They have a lot of experience, and meanwhile, Philadelphia has the best offensive and defensive lines. They have the best running back in the game. They've got a quarterback who's mobile, and they're also very aggressive in how they like. You could break it down, but here's a real glimpse into Trump's mind and how Trump views everything.
Say that I've watched this great quarterback who has, by the way, a phenomenal wife, okay? She's a Trump fan. She's a MAGA fan, so I happen to love her, okay? But she's a great person. I watched her being interviewed. I said, well, that's pretty good. But she's great, and he's great. I guess you have to say that when a quarterback wins as much as he's won.
See, I threw that in there. Why? Like, who's going to win the game? I really like people who love me. She's so great. Why is she great? Because she loves me. Brittany Mahomes is an idiot. And everybody knew Brittany Mahomes was an idiot long before she started talking about Donald Trump. Like, she's not a terribly intelligent person. She's not a terribly engaging person. I've never heard her say something thoughtful. I've watched, like, there were Patrick Mahomes documentaries that I watched. I've weirdly seen a lot of Brittany Mahomes. Not really all that remarkable of a human being. But now they love her. If you love Trump, we love you.
I have to go with Kansas City. At the same time, Philadelphia has a fantastic. It's going to be just a great game.
Finally, listen, you are the most recognized person in the world, likely the most imitated person in the world. Every comedian.
All right, now they're just going to like this is I've never seen a more softball interview in my life. Text Drew. Tell me if this is a more. Listen to how this ends. I don't ever want to hear you guys ever talk about a softball interview ever again when you hear how this ends.
The most recognized person in the world, likely the most imitated person in the world. Every comedian has Donald Trump imitation, everyone. But now you have UFC fighters winning fights, NFL players doing the Trump dance. Yeah. Did you ever think that was going to be a thing?
No, I didn't. I mean, we do these rallies. They've always been great, but they got really great. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I try and.
I know what it is. When I was a Mormon and there was somebody in leadership and they said something mildly funny or they showed any discernible personality, we thought it was the greatest thing ever because they're such sociopath narcissists who believe that like they speak for God. That any amount of humanity that they showed was exponentially viewed by their following. Like we all thought it was the greatest thing in the world. The reason people do the Trump dance is because people weirdly worship him. That's why. Because he's a cult leader. That's why.
Walk off sometimes without dancing, and I can't. I have to dance because it's just got something special about it.
Mr. President, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the game. You can see the rest of the interview on a.
Yeah. So I don't ever want to hear anything about a softball interview ever again. I was surprised that you didn't see a white substance come falling out of his mouth when he finished that interview.